Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, Patreon, Podomatic, Anchor, wherever, guys. And then head on over to the Facebook group and Twitter account and join in the discussion. If you're listening on YouTube, of course, you're going to see the little watermark, Windows Movie Makers, because I am using the trial version of Windows Movie Maker. This is a hobby. I don't make money off of this show, so I don't want to spend money on it, and especially since YouTube, the pictures don't matter. They're just there to put up. So you know what? If you want to get the watermark removed, send me a couple dollars on Patreon or Anchor, and I'll be glad to put some money to some actual software. But until then, enjoy it. All right, guys. Well, what's going on in the world? Maybe a few things. If you're like me, you're on day 3 of social distancing, I guess is what they're calling it. For me, my work is not completely shut down, but running on minimal staff. And in doing so, I am getting paid to stay home. Pretty much like, a staycation, if you will, except for I'm not really allowed to go do other things. My wife for the last week has been telling me, what precautions I should take in order to keep myself, my daughter, my mother-in-law, all of them from catching the virus and things such as that. I understand, she's got 3 medical degrees to my 1 broadcasting degree, so I guess she's a little more well-versed in this matter, so I'll listen to what she says for now. But me, staying home, really just kind of watching out for my daughter, of course. It's her spring break right now, so I'm giving her a little bit of break. Next week, though, we got a whole schedule of homeschool learning stuff to do, so I'm going to help her out with that, hopefully. But on top of that, I'm just trying to stay busy. Exercise every day is kind of my thing. It's one of those things that I don't do a lot of, so this will allow me to do that. And, I would say I'm going to get caught up on, all my queues, like my Netflix queue and all that stuff, but we both know that all of us are just going to sit around and watch the show that we love over and over again. Speaking of which, me and a couple of friends are doing our own March Madness brackets to where The Office. My friend sent me one with 32 favorite episodes of The Office. We're going through, we're voting on them, and we're going to do that. So last night, me and my wife sat down and watched 6 episodes of The Office to cover 3 challenges. And tonight we'll sit down, watch a couple more, and vote, and hopefully break it down from there. But also, I'm doing my own bracket challenge, guys. If you have checked out the Facebook group or the Twitter account, couple weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I think is what it was, I decided to slowly work my way through the DC animated movie shared universe. I started off with Justice League Flashpoint, moved on to Justice League War. I watched Throne of Atlantis. Moving on, I'll go to Son of Batman, and the whole shared animated universe that started back in 2013 and goes all the way to where I believe it's in April, maybe it is, or June or something, when Justice League Dark Apocalypse War comes out. Kind of the culmination of all of it is what it's seeming like. I'm excited about it, but I decided I was going to, start with maybe like 1 movie a week and kind of work my way through, I believe it's the 15 films is what it is. But with this little isolation thing going on, I decided, maybe I'll just go and just watch them all perhaps. So I decided to make a little challenge out of it in honor of, also doing the Office brackets, doing my own little thing. I remember last year, the year before, I did the Arrowverse Hotties Challenge, which was very interesting to say the least. So now I'm doing the films of the DC Animated Shared Universe. Today's match-off is Justice League War versus Wonder Woman Bloodlines, the newest of the DC animated films. If you've seen both of them, head on over to the Facebook group and vote for one. And then, of course, tomorrow and the day after, I'm going to do one every day, and we'll work our way from there, guys. Now, like I said, technically it started with Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, which I think is a great film, but I needed an even number, and there are like 15 films. And Constantine's City of Demons technically doesn't count, but it fits. And, you could say, we'll just start with Justice League War and go from there, guys, because I love Flashpoint Paradox. It's one of my favorites of the animated DC films, but I need an even number, so I just cut that one out, and we'll just live with it, okay? If you feel like it needs to be in there, you let me know, and of course, I'll put it in there. So, all right, well, a couple other housekeeping things, of course. Like I said, I'm going to try to watch some new things, of course, while I'm on break. One of the things I'm planning on watching, Black Lightning Season 3, just popped up on Netflix, so excited to watch that. I don't watch the CW shows on a regular basis. I watched Arrow and Flash up until the crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I haven't gotten back to it since. It has to do with the whole CW and commercials, and I can't stand it, so I decided to wait till the seasons are over, which Black Lightning season did just end, which is why they put it up on Netflix. So I'm going to go through that, hopefully, kind of my main priority to watch. Also, Altered Carbon Resleeve, the anime based off the Netflix series. Season 2 came out, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, maybe or so. I finished watching that. I didn't like it as much as I liked Season 1, but I'm going to check out this little anime thing going on here, see how I feel about that, and if I enjoy it, I'll fire back and recommend it possibly. And the last bit of housekeeping, guys, Harley Quinn Season 2. New trailer just came out about maybe 30 minutes ago is when I looked at it, actually. I'm not going to talk about it today. I'm going to talk about it on tomorrow's show because I have time, so maybe I'll do a few more shows than what I would normally do. We'll see how it goes, of course. But I'm going to talk about that tomorrow, possibly. I think I'll have the time to do that, so I'm not going to talk about the day. Today, what I'm going to talk about is the boy wonder himself, Robin. So yesterday, new comics came out. Of course, it was Wednesday. Some things still happen, actually. And they had the 80th anniversary issue of Robin. It was 100-page, super spectacular. And you had writers from all over the DC universe come in, throw down a couple of pages of either their writing ability or their artistry, and, just tell their tales, appreciation for this character who has lasted 80 years. Now, last year, there was Batman's 80th anniversary, and the year before that was the Superman 80th anniversary. So now we have Robin, the 80th anniversary. He first appeared in Detective Comics, issue number 38. Now, remember that Batman's first appearance was Detective Comics, issue number 27. Fact check me on that. I'm pretty sure it's 27. So it's only not even a year later till Robin showed up, right after Batman, of course. And he's a very iconic and important character in my eyes when it comes to superheroes and the comic book industry or culture. We all know that Robin was a character that was created to help sell more comics. It was this point of view character that kids who read comics could latch onto and feel like they were going on adventures with Batman themselves, which spawned other sidekicks like, Aqualad and Speedy, Kid Flash, and eventually became the Teen Titans, is what it was. And as a kid, growing up, reading comics, of course, I was a Robin fan, definitely, of course, I was that target demographic the character was made for. So while I wasn't a big Batman fan, I always liked Robin. Growing up, my Robin was the third Robin, Tim Drake. I collected his solo series, a couple of mini series as well. Saw him with the Teen Titans. That Teen Titans group is really my Teen Titans. Him, Superboy, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash. That's my Teen Titans group. I know other people have their own roster that they like, and that was really mine. That was the one I gravitated towards. Of course, he's been in numerous things. Of course, I mean, if you look at the animated stuff, he's all the way back to Super Friends. He's been in Batman the Animated Series in several versions. You also have Teen Titans Go, Young Justice, The Batman, and the most recently, of course, the DC shared animated universe. You have Damian Wayne in there as well. And then, of course, if you look over the live action,
You kind of have the three, really, I think. I couldn't think of a fourth one, so I'm pretty sure it's just the three. First off, going back to the 60s Batman show, Burt Ward, you had the Robin, again, that I grew up with, Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson in that. And then, of course, the newest incarnation is Brett, what's his last name? Swart, something. I forget his last name, but anyway, he's playing Robin and now Nightwing in the current Titans series on DC Universe. So again, the character's been around for 80 years, many interpretations of him, and many people have actually played him. And what I love is that they take the role of Robin and eventually allow the character to grow up. Dick Grayson himself was, the first hero, I think, in comics that actually was allowed to mature. I mean, yes, superheroes in comics continue their lives. They grew older. Some of them got married. Some had kids. Spider-Man, graduated college, married Mary Jane. But, Dick Grayson went from the boy wonder to older to becoming his own hero in Nightwing. And I always enjoyed that evolution of the character, becoming his own man, so to speak. And so Dick Grayson is one of my favorite comic book characters ever because of the journey he's been on, because of what he's gone through and stepped on his own. And he's a hero that I know other heroes really respect. But again, it's a character that I really enjoy just because of his evolution and what he's done to step out of Batman's shadow and kind of learn, again, to be his own man, that he didn't want to do things the way that Batman does things. And there's a storyline in this 80th anniversary issue that goes through and explains it pretty well. Now, to the general public, the most famous storyline involving Robin is probably Death in the Family, where the Joker kills Robin. I remember that issue very well. I've read it many times, where it's Jason Todd, not Dick Grayson. Again, a lot of the general audience thought it was Dick Grayson that died. No, Dick Grayson had left at this point. Jason Todd had become the new Robin, and people weren't unsure or weren't very sure of this character, to where, they were going to say whether he lived or died by calling some phone number. And of course, you put the power of the mass, and the mass will, of course, probably do the worst possible thing. So he died, and, it was a nice thing because it allowed, I think, new developments in the Batman character. Not only did he grieve the loss of his parents, he grieved the failure he had with Jason Todd. And then, of course, when Tim Drake came along, he didn't want a new Robin because he feared of what would happen to another one of his proteges. So, Tim really had to fight for that role. Not only did he figure out who Batman and Robin were, which nobody's been able to do, he really had to prove himself to Bruce that he could be Robin, that Batman needs a Robin. And I think that that's a very, essential part of the character, is giving Batman someone to be responsible for, someone to hold him accountable, because he's a rough character, or he should be at least. And there's this line that he needs to make sure he doesn't cross when he's out there kicking the crap out of criminals. And having someone look up to him, I think, is, a way to keep him from towing over the right side of the line. Don't let him, get too rough, too dark, too down, I guess. Robin is the light that keeps Batman not too much in the dark, I guess you would say. And then, of course, there's the big joke that, he dressed a kid up in a bright yellow and red outfit just so he could distract the criminals to shoot at. And honestly, it's not far from the truth. I think it's, something that definitely we can all laugh about. But, he's a distraction. He's someone that is small and acrobatic, at least Dick Grayson was, to where, he could probably dodge bullets pretty well. And then while they're shooting at him, the guy in the darker black or, dark navy costume comes up behind him and takes him out. I mean, it's not that bad of an idea, if you ask me. So like I said, I grew up with the third Robin, Tim Drake. That was my Robin because it's around my time. I'm sure, people that have grown up in the last 10 years consider Damian Wayne their Robin, perhaps. I feel sorry for them. But in either way, again, Tim saw him go through his transitions as well. Big moment. Big moment, of course, was in Identity Crisis when, the villains found out who the heroes were and his dad ended up dying, and just that whole scene of Batman and Robin trying to rush to Tim's dad and, Tim eventually getting in there and seeing what happened. It's probably one of the few times I have cried while reading a comic book, and it's great. It's a great scene, very well written. I just like it a lot. And again, just a pivotal moment for Tim, going on later on where he loses his best friends in Bart and Connor. And then in the 1 year later storyline, he tries to bring them back through cloning. It's some good stuff they've done with him. I hated him, New 52, Red Robin. No, thank you. And really, the character hasn't been the same since. I know Bendis is trying to bring him back a little bit with the new Young Justice series and stuff like that. But he still just wasn't as good as he was before New 52, which I do miss. But again, I've grown older myself now, so maybe I'm just a little detached at this point. But do love me, Tim Drake. He's got a special place as Robin. Now, there was that brief time when, spoiler, Stephanie Brown was Robin. I wasn't reading Batman around that time, so I don't. From what I know, she and Bruce disagreed a lot. I'm sure she wasn't used to answering to anyone because she was out on her own, the daughter of a supervillain trying to do good. Tim Drake's girlfriend, all that stuff didn't last very long, but I did appreciate, of course, we got a female Robin, okay, going, to back to Dark Knight Returns. You got Carrie Kelly in there, but that was, alternate reality, not part of the regular continuity. Bringing Stephanie in there as a female Robin, I'm fine with it, but I'm not too familiar with it, so I can't comment too much on it. Damian Wayne, it's interesting, you bring him in. I remember that whole story arc of when they brought Damian Wayne in. He's the son of Talia and Bruce, becomes Robin, and is the first, flesh and blood. I mean, Bruce has raised these kids that aren't, his own, and now he finally has one that is his own, and he's the most lethal, most difficult one of them all. If you count, Jason growing up to be Red Hood, you can do that, of course, but Damian is, definitely one that I think challenges Bruce the most because he's the most capable as well. But I think Damian is softening up because of, spending so much time with him, being in Batman's world, not only with, say, becoming friends with Superboy, Jonathan Kent, and also his relationship with Alfred and with Nightwing, Dick Grayson, I thought was really good. He's becoming a better character, but, he's a little brat, I'll tell you that. And I will never warm to him the way I warmed to Tim Drake or even Dick Grayson. But just watching him in the DC animated shared universe, you can realize who he is, what he's become, and he's not as bad as what I originally thought he was. So I'll give him credit for that, at least. But yes, I wanted to sit down and talk a little Robin the Boy Wonder because, again, growing up reading comic books, I did have an affinity for the character. I think anyone who, read comic books as a kid has some kind of place in their heart for Robin, whether it's Tim Drake, Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne. Again, he was created as that point of view character like he was supposed to be. And maybe it's not Robin. Maybe it's one of the other, young heroes such as, Kid Flash or Wonder Girl or even Superboy or, whatever. There's an important part of having these characters in there just to, I guess, sell books, obviously. But again, help us believe that we can go on these adventures, that we can do these things alongside our heroes and give us the confidence perhaps to do these things in real life. I mean, I always say there are guys that sit and they read comic books, thinking, wishing they all this bravery and heroism, living that noble lifestyle. that it's all, what we wish we could do. And I look at it and yeah, we can do that. We can have that mindset. I'm not saying, go out and dress up in a costume and fight crime, but, when the occasion occurs, we could be that brave, that noble, that good, that physically fit. Maybe not as physically fit as, say, a Batman or a Daredevil, but you know what? There's no harm in trying, at least, right? You're trying to take care of our mind, body, and souls, trying to take care of each other. That's what I see in superheroes. I see it as something to strive towards, something to believe in, that we can be as good as humanity believes we can be. So, yes, I got all that from Robin. So take it what you will, guys. But time for you to fire back, of course. What are your thoughts on Robin the Boy Wonder? Who is your favorite Robin? Did you check out the 80th anniversary special? Let me know some of your favorite stories on that. I really enjoyed the one with Tim Drake going to the other Robins and kind of asking their advice as far as what he should do with his life. The Dick Grayson one about, growing up and how he's kind of starting to realize he wants to do things differently than Batman. And then there's another story at the end with Damian Wayne about, again, him and Bruce clashing. That looks like it's going to feed into the regular Batman continuity. We'll see how that goes, guys. But let me know what you think, of course. Facebook group, Twitter account, and of course, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. If you have any topics or anything else you want to talk about, fire back, let me know. All right, guys. Well, I am going to call it for today. What am I going to do with the rest of my day? I don't know. I'll figure it out. Hopefully you guys figure it out too. Let me know. Also, if you're watching anything cool you think I might like or someone else might like, social media groups, Gmail account, that's what they're there for, guys. And don't forget to go vote each day on the DC animated shared universe brackets. I want to know which one you think is the best, because I think it's going to be a tough call. I mean, I took Flashpoint Paradox out, and I think that's probably the best one of the group. So taking that out, I think it leaves it up in the air quite a bit. But go on, vote for that, and we'll get through this together, guys. That's what I want to sign off by saying, is that people are hurting, not just, physically, but financially. It's hurting people. And if you have the means, please support your local businesses. I know the guy that, I used to buy comics from when I was a kid in Kokomo, Indiana. He still runs the comic shop there, and he's asking people, come get your comics. I'll stand outside and hand them to you. I will, deliver them to you. If please keep supporting the businesses that you frequent. I know a lot of them are still, doing deliveries or, carry out, stuff like that. Let's support them, of course, and come together is what we need. We don't need, to, go to the grocery store and take all the toilet paper on the shelves, because that leaves none for no one else, and then we all have brown asses or whatever. And we don't need to go out and buy guns because we're afraid that the purge is going to happen, okay? It's a virus. It's not the freaking Walking Dead. But anyway, help each other, support each other. That's what, we should do as a people, as humanity, because that's what our heroes would do, right? Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow with talk about the Harley Quinn trailer, maybe some more stuff. We shall see. Until then, may the Force be with us all.